This video gives you the framework to budget before you build so that you stop guessing and start engineering your costs with intention. I've been running AI agents 24/7 for around 2 months now, and I've tracked every single cost, whether it's API costs, the compute, the tools, everything I pay for, the time I spend fixing things, and the cost of getting team members or contractors involved if they would assist. And nobody in the space is being honest about what it actually costs, so here are my real numbers.
Hey, I'm Johnny Nell. I spent years building businesses the old hard way, managing teams, scaling operations, and doing everything manually. Today, everything I built, from automations and no-code infrastructures to fully AI SaaS products, has AI helping in one way or another.
Firstly, let me quickly show you this. In South Africa, we call this a braai.
I build with AI tools that, in my opinion, anyone can learn to use. My mission is simple: to help creators, entrepreneurs, and business owners get clarity with AI. Let's build smarter together and enjoy this video.
I've been tracking every single line item for the past 60 days because I wanted to know the truth for myself before I told anyone else. I'm not selling you a dream, and I'm not just going to show you a spreadsheet. I'm going to discuss with you exactly what's actually happening right now. People are spinning up agents without understanding the cost curve. It starts cheap, a few cents here, a few cents there, then it compounds. And the AI influencer space is full of, it's basically free claims without zero receipts. Meanwhile, your agent is quietly retrying a failed API call in a loop at 3 AM. Every retry is a fresh charge. You wake up to a bill you didn't expect because nobody warned you that autonomous also means autonomously spending your money. I've had Telegram alerts hit my phone at 2 AM because an embedding job re-indexed an entire corpus over a config error. That's one mistake that costed me more than the prior 2 weeks combined of utilizing agents. So if you don't understand your cost per task, you'll either overspend or quit before it pays off. This video gives you the framework to budget before you build so that you stop guessing and start engineering your costs with intention. So let's start off with the first main point, the hardware question. Are you going to buy versus using cloud, or are you going to utilize both as a hybrid? Let's start with the thing you buy once. I run everything on a Mac Studio M4. The machine's cost is really effective, especially if you can pick up a good deal secondhand. That's exactly what I personally leaned into. Now again, your price may vary depending on your configuration. Jeff Jerling tested these machines and confirmed what I've seen in practice. Idle power draw sits around 3 to 4 watts. Under load, maybe 45 watts. For context, the light bulb in your desk lamp probably draws more than my entire AI infrastructure currently. On Mac Studio costs me roughly between $16 to $20 a month. Now comparing that to cloud, AWS EC2 Mac instances runs about 9.5 cents per minute with a 24-hour minimum allocation period. If you extrapolate that to always on monthly use, which is what you'd need to match a Mac Mini or Mac Studio running 24/7, that roughly works out quite a few thousands. That's even if you take a 3-year savings plan, knocking 44% off. You could potentially still be north of a few grand. Now my Mac Studio paid for itself under a few weeks compared to that. So if you're running agents around the clock and you have a desk to put a computer on, local hardware is the obvious call. Let's go into point number 2, API costs. And this is the line item that surprises everyone. You see, hardware is the easy part. API costs is where things get very interesting. And this is a conundrum I found myself in when deciding what route should I go, regardless of the security considerations. It was extremely important for me to take into consideration, would it be better to spend maybe $300-400 on API costs instead of saving on a local machine, or do I run a local machine and then try to save on the API costs? And let me break that down into what the major providers actually charge. So Claude Sonnet 4.6 runs $3 per million input tokens and $15 per million output tokens. Opus 4.6 is 5 and 25, and Haiku 4.5 is 1 and 5. OpenAI's GPT-4o sits at 250 and 10 per million tokens, and their mini model is dramatically cheaper at 15 cents and 60 cents. Google's text embedding, I think they call it 004, is free. Yeah, free. That matters when you are embedding thousands of documents. And here's what nobody is warning you about. The sticker price is not the actual price. Research from the SOO or SOO group shows that retries, long context windows, and a chain of thought reasoning can inflate your real costs 3 to 5 times beyond their estimate. The median output to input pricing ratio across major providers is 4:1. So if your agent is generating a lot of text, it's writing scripts, producing reports, drafting emails, your output costs dominate, and they dominate hard. In my experience, my estimate monthly API spend was about 50% of what I actually should have paid. And the gap was retries, context that ballooned beyond what I planned for, and agents that were doing more work than what I realized. Your gap will depend on how your agents are built, but assume there will be one. And guys, I've got my entire setup documented for you to access inside of the AI Founders Vault community. The link is down in the description below. Moving on to point number 3, what is the hidden costs that nobody is talking about? The API bill is the cost you can see, but there's a whole layer underneath it. When you look at your time debugging, maintaining, updating agents, according to No Code Finder's pricing guide, plan for 10 to 20 hours per month of prompt tuning and testing alone. That's real time you're not spending on other work. Then there's the SAR stack. Looking at your CRM APIs that run $10 to $100 per month. Then you have your email tools running from 20 to 100 perhaps per month. Your data enrichment, that is just another $50 to $500 a month. And these are just compounded quietly while you are setting up your infrastructure. Now again, that is all dependent on your current infrastructure, but then there's also the opportunity cost that we do need to take into consideration. Now you need to also identify and understand where to spend your time within the business to ensure that the business's needle is moving forward. But taking that into consideration, research from Altimira shows that operational costs, the ongoing stuff, not the initial setup, represent 65 to 75% of your total 3-year spending on AI agents. The setup cost is the smaller number, the running costs is the real number. You see, the break-even question is the one that matters the most. At what point does automation actually cost less than doing it yourself, or perhaps hiring a VA to do that? And that answer is different for every agent you run. Now, if you're watching this thinking, I need to set this up correctly, here's the deal. The context in this video is going through a lot of it, but how to go about doing it with templates, the prompts, the resources, that's all in the AI Founders Vault. The link is down in the description. See you in there. Moving on to point number 4, the cost per task breakdown. And this is where math either works or it doesn't. So let me give you actual numbers here. My morning briefing, where Nova pulls trending AI content, does competitor analysis, and surfaces video ideas, that costs me roughly 80 cents USD. My content scripting pipeline, which consists of topic research, thorough outline creation, that runs about $2.50 US. For example, if I need to get a meeting transcribed and a summary, that sits around 65 cents per run. Now frame that differently. Would you pay 80 cents for a research brief that would have taken you 2 hours to perhaps compile manually? Or would you pay $2.50 for a complete video outline with the research, everything done for you, perhaps by a VA that's well trained up? Because that is what it would cost me. And the math suddenly makes sense when you see it that way. Not as an expense, but as buying back hours at a fraction of what your time is worth, and reinvesting the hours that you do have into the right things to ensure that your business is moving forward, to ensure that you're allocating your energy, time, and resources to the tasks that helps to move the needle forward in your business. Moving over to point 5, how to cut costs without cutting capabilities. As I suggest in the community, always look at where can you run local models first. For example, using Llama for embeddings and classification, that costs you nothing other than hardware. One builder, one medium report, saving potentially thousands annually switching from APIs to local models. And again, your savings depend entirely on your scale and your usage. At my volume, the break even on moving embeddings local happened in about 2 months. Second, caching. According to Redis Labs, Claude prompt caching means cache hits roughly 10% of standard input token prices. So if your agent is sending similar context repeatedly, caching alone can cut a chunk off your bill overnight. So looking at that, it's extremely important to take into consideration that your memory is configured very well. And I'll be dropping a few videos on that for you guys here on YouTube as well. Then look at scheduling. Third, not every agent needs to run every minute. My content monitoring agent checks every 4 hours, not every 4 minutes. That's one change that cuts its costs by over 90% with zero impact on what I actually need from it. And fourth, the 80-20 rule. I would say up to 3 of my 17 agents deliver the vast majority of the value. The rest is not useful, but critical. Know which agents earn their keep and which ones are running because you thought they were cool when you built them. That's how you actually scale, knowing what's worth paying for and what isn't. See, here's the moment where everything flipped for me. After about 6 weeks of building, my content pipeline replaced 3 SaaS subscriptions and 10 plus hours of manual work, and the crossover happened faster than I expected. According to Google's cloud research, 74% of executives who deploy AI agents report achieving ROI within the first year. Their model deployments, meaning simulated, not measured in production, showed 210% ROI over 3 years with payback under 6 months. Now, those are enterprise numbers. Your mileage as a solo builder or a founder who's scaled down will obviously vary, and I'm not by any means saying that you'll make any return on investment by sharing this. I'm just sharing with you what the research is saying that we found, and my real world experience has been more modest but still clearly positive. So the real cost isn't the API build, it's the 6 weeks of building before anything works, the debugging, the prompt rewriting, the agents that looked great in the testing but fell apart in production. Once you've paid that tax, the per task economics get very, very good fast. So my agents run while I sleep. They cost less per hour than the electricity it takes to charge my phone, and they handle work that used to eat my mornings. And that's when scaling stops being scary. Drop your monthly AI spend in the comments down below. I want to see what you're actually paying, not estimates, real numbers. Let's make this the most honest thread about AI costs on YouTube. And if this was useful and you feel cool to it, I do invite you to subscribe. The next video I'm covering how to lock down your agents, the security side that nobody is really talking about. And again, if you feel cool to it, subscribe if you want to build agents that actually make a difference and not just demos that looks cool on Twitter. And if you want to go deeper, as I mentioned earlier, accept your invitation to the AI Founders School Vault, where we're building the future together. The link is down in the description below. See you in the next one.